World War I was the first war in human history where the world witnessed a completely different level of suffering, destruction, and death. Who is to be blamed for starting World War I? Welcome to History's Chosen. My name is Sean. The scale of devastation was unimaginable, and it changed the global order permanently. We can understand its severity from one simple fact. The total number of deaths was approximately 17 million people. This includes both soldiers and civilians, which shows how deeply this war affected human life. In this war, several major countries were involved, including Britain and its colonies, France, Russia, Japan, and the United States. Because of the large number of countries involved, this war became a global conflict. That is why it is also known by different names such as the Great War, the Global War, and a war to end all wars. At that time, people believed that this was the biggest war in history, and such a war would not happen again for at least the next 50 to 60 years. However, this belief did not last long. After just 20 years in 1939, when the Second World War began, historians started calling this earlier war World War I. In today's video, we will discuss how World War I started, what were the groupings of countries, and in the end, who can actually be blamed for starting World War I. But before that, we need to understand the historical background of that time. Backdrop to World War I. Friends, at the end of the 19th century, Western nations were at the forefront of civilization. This was a time when new inventions were taking place rapidly. Developments were happening in areas like military technology, aircraft, industry, and even fashion. At the same time, countries were signing treaties with each other. According to these treaties, if one country was attacked, another country would come forward to help it. Because of this, many alliances were formed. The importance of these alliances becomes clear later, when we see how they divided nations into two opposing groups. If we talk about territories, France wanted to take back the region of Alsace-Lorraine from Germany. France had lost this region about 50 years earlier in a humiliating war. On the other hand, Germany wanted to expand its control and keep as much territory under its rule as possible. Meanwhile, Great Britain was busy modernizing its naval fleet, strengthening its power at sea. In the Balkan region, several states became independent: Romania in 1881, Bulgaria in 1908, and Albania in 1912. This led to a wave of nationalism across Europe. People in different regions began to demand independence and started identifying strongly with their nations. As a result, the entire situation in Europe became unstable. Countries were secretly forming alliances, competing with each other, and preparing for possible conflict. From all these events, we can clearly see that a warlike situation was slowly developing. Division of the world into two groups. Gradually, the major powers of the world divided into two main groups. The first group was the Allied powers, which included Russia, France, Great Britain, Japan, and later the United States. It is important to note that the United States joined the war in 1917. The second group was the Central Powers, which included Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was also known as the Habsburg dynasty. Causes of World War I. Friends, there were four main causes of World War I. 1. Militarism. Militarism refers to the aggressive buildup of military power. Countries were involved in an arms race. They were producing large numbers of weapons, such as machine guns, tanks, and naval ships, and building huge armies. Industrial centers in countries like Britain, Germany, and the United States supported this by producing military equipment on a large scale. 2. Alliance system. In the 19th century, several alliances were formed in Europe. In 1882, the Triple Alliance was formed between Germany, Italy, and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Similarly, in 1904, the Entente Cordiale was formed between France and Great Britain. Later, in 1907, Russia joined this alliance, and it became the Triple Entente. Because of these alliances, Europe was divided into two opposing camps. 3. Imperialism. Imperialism refers to the desire of countries to expand their territories. Major powers like Britain, France, and Russia were trying to extend their colonies. In Africa, this competition became so intense that historians refer to it as the scramble for Africa. Africa was seen as a valuable region because it was largely unexplored, had cheap labor, and contained resources like diamonds. Because multiple countries wanted control over Africa, conflicts began to arise and war became a way to resolve these disputes. 4. Nationalism. Nationalism was another major cause. In the 19th century, nationalism spread rapidly across Europe. Countries began to glorify war, calling it a symbol of pride and honor. In regions like the Baltic states, nationalism was at its peak. People believed that war would lead to independence. Immediate cause of World War I. Apart from these long-term causes, there was an immediate trigger. The immediate cause of World War I was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was the second largest country in Europe after Russia. The Archduke and his wife were visiting Sarajevo, which is now the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. On 28 June 1914, they were assassinated. The attacker was Gavrilo Princip, a member of a group called the Black Hand, which was based in Serbia. The Austro-Hungarian Empire believed that Serbia was behind this assassination. Austria-Hungary informed Germany and said that they were planning to declare war on Serbia. Germany gave full support, almost like giving a blank check. Austria-Hungary then placed humiliating conditions before Serbia. Serbia refused to accept all of them. As a result, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. This marked the beginning of World War I. Who is to be blamed? It is very difficult to decide who is responsible for starting World War I. Some historians blame Austria-Hungary because it was the first country to declare war. Others blame Russia because it was the first to order full mobilization. Many historians blame Germany because it supported Austria-Hungary unconditionally. Germany clearly encouraged Austria-Hungary to take action. Some also question Great Britain's role. Britain supported France, but its position was unclear at the beginning. Some argue that if Britain had declared its support earlier, Germany might not have taken such aggressive steps. Although the war started as a conflict between Austria-Hungary and Serbia, it quickly escalated into a global war. Reasons for escalation. The war spread rapidly due to several reasons. 1. Alliance system. Because of alliances, countries were forced to support each other. This turned a small conflict into a global war. American historian George Kennan believed that the 1894 alliance between France and Russia sealed the fate of Europe. 2. Naval race. There was intense competition between Germany and Britain to build stronger navies. Germany believed that sea power was essential for building a successful empire. The launch of the Dreadnought battleship in 1906 intensified this rivalry. By 1914, both countries were competing equally. 3. Economic competition. Some historians believe that the war was fought for economic dominance. German businessmen wanted to challenge Britain's economic power. Marxist historians support this view and blame capitalism for the war. 4. Miscalculations. Many countries made serious miscalculations. Austria believed that Russia would not support Serbia. Germany believed that the war would be short. Military leaders thought that quick victory was possible with full force. Historian LCF Turner described World War I as a tragedy of miscalculation. Conclusion. From all these events, it is clear that the war was not caused by a single country. All countries acted out of their own interests. The main reason was the desire to control more territory. Some countries even used unfair means. This war became the largest conflict of its time. It was also a failure of leadership. Even today, there is no clear consensus on who should be blamed. Germany was aggressive. Russia expanded its military. Austria declared war, and Britain supported alliances. In the end, every country played a role in causing destruction. Aftermath of World War I. The war had long-term consequences. Millions of women entered the workforce to replace men who went to war. The war also contributed to the spread of the Spanish flu of 1918, one of the deadliest pandemics in history. It killed around 20 to 50 million people. Many military technologies were introduced during this war, including machine guns, tanks, aircraft combat, and radio communication. Final thought: World War I was not just a war. It was a turning point in ASEAN history. Its impact is still visible today. And the most important lesson is, no matter who starts a war, everyone suffers in the end. Suffers.